Before we begin, take a second to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell icon. That way, you won't miss any of the hidden treasure stories we bring to this channel. Today's story might just change the way you look at coins forever. We're diving into the world of old money, dusty drawers, forgotten pockets, and revealing how one small, ordinary-looking coin from 1965 could be hiding a value most people would never believe. I'm talking about a coin so unassuming that it's probably slipped through a million fingers unnoticed. And yet, under the right circumstances, in the hands of the right person, it could be worth up to $35,000. Let me take you back to 1965. It's a time of enormous change. Not just in the world, but in South Africa itself. The country was adjusting to the realities of the post-colonial world. The South African Reserve Bank was reissuing and redesigning coins under the Republic's new identity. Among those coins was a small, coppery 2-cent piece. Just 2 cents. Nobody thought much of it back then. It was change. It bought you a newspaper or part of a loaf of bread. And now, decades later, it's become a tiny time capsule. A frozen piece of history. But some of these coins carry more than just history, they carry potential. The coin in question shows a bold wildebeest on one side, mid-stride, full of energy, almost charging off the bronze surface. The other side bears the name of the country, Suid-Afrika or South Africa, depending on the version you're holding, and the year 1965. It's a small coin, bronze, about 22 millimeters in diameter, weighing just 4 grams. Designed by well-known engravers of the time, including Tommy Sarseen and Jan van Zyl, this coin is part of a series that reflects the values and identity of South Africa in a shifting world. At the time, nearly 30 million of these coins were minted. 30 million. So it wasn't rare then. And to be honest, most of these coins today are still not rare. If you were to sell a typical 1965 2-cent coin in average circulated condition, you'd be lucky to get more than a quarter for it. In fact, most coin dealers might pass right over it without even blinking. A coin in better than average shape, let's say very fine condition, might bring you 40 cents. Extra fine, maybe 70 cents. And if by some chance you've got one that's never been in circulation, one that looks fresh from the mint, you might find a collector willing to pay a few dollars. But what if I told you that somewhere among those 30 million coins is one, or possibly a few, that are worth tens of thousands of dollars? Not because of their face value. Not because of inflation. But because of what makes them different. What makes them unique? You see, every so often, a mistake happens at the mint. A tiny misalignment. A shift in the die. A momentary error in the striking process. And those mistakes can turn a mass-produced coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Imagine holding that coin in your hand. At first glance, it looks like any other. You see the wildebeest, the date, the edge. It's not until you really look closely that you begin to notice something is off. Maybe the date is slightly doubled. Maybe part of the design is missing. Maybe the whole image is shifted just a fraction of a millimeter to the left. To most people, these look like flaws. But to serious collectors, those with deep pockets, these so-called flaws can be worth a fortune. Let's talk about error coins for a moment. These are coins that, through some mechanical failure or human oversight, ended up different from the rest. And collectors go wild for them. The right kind of error, in the right condition, can send prices into the thousands. Now imagine that same scenario with a coin that's already historic. A 1965 coin, struck during a time of change, bearing a rare minting error, and preserved in excellent condition, but it's not just error coins that attract attention. Sometimes, coins are struck as proofs or specimens. These aren't meant for circulation. They are produced in limited numbers with sharper detail and polished finishes. If a 1965 2-cent coin exists in this format, and if it's in pristine condition, it could be almost impossible to find. That kind of rarity doesn't come cheap, and then there's the matter of provenance. That's a fancy word for a coin's backstory. Where it came from. Who owned it? How it was stored. If a coin can be traced to a famous person or a significant collection, its value climbs. For example, imagine a coin that was gifted to a diplomat or passed down through a prominent South African family. That context adds emotional and financial weight. Buyers don't just pay for metal, they pay for the story, and now you might be thinking, all right, I've got a 1965 2-cent coin somewhere. Maybe I found it in my grandfather's box of coins. Maybe it's been sitting in a drawer for decades. How do I know if mine is the one? How do I tell the difference between a regular coin and the rare one? First, get yourself a magnifying glass. Not a toy, but a real coin loupe. 10 times magnification at minimum. Look closely at the date. At the lettering. At the wildebeest's outline. Do you see anything doubled? Any breaks in the design? Anything slightly shifted from the center? Next, check the rim. Is it even all the way around, or does it look clipped or thicker in spots? A misaligned die can produce a coin where the image is off-center. That's not damage, that's a mint error, and that can be valuable. Measure the coin's weight if you can. A proper scale will tell you if the weight matches the standard for grams. If it's off, even slightly, it could be a sign of an experimental strike, a planchette mix-up, or even a pattern coin. Those kinds of discoveries can be worth thousands. Now turn your attention to the surface. Is it clean and smooth, or has it been scratched, cleaned, or polished? Many well-meaning people ruin valuable coins by scrubbing them to make them look nicer. But collectors prefer coins in their natural, untouched condition, even if that means a bit of tarnish or age.